Okay, and I think we are live. I'm always curious about whether or not I'm actually live or not. Let's see here. I'll be patient. I'll wait to make sure so I don't waste my time talking to nobody, just talking into the ether here. Let's see. The latency too is. I didn't opt for the low latency stream this time around because I heard that kind of affects the quality of the live stream itself. Still not seeing it live. Again, you guys are going to be watching this live if it actually is live, so I apologize for the weird delay. Um, Still not seeing it. It's getting awkward. There it is. All right, here we go. Sorry, just want to make sure. So there's like 20 seconds there of me just talking to myself. So we're live, and this is our 29th official After Hours live stream. If I sound awkward, if I sound too loud, too soft, either turn me up or turn me down, or ask me to turn myself up or down. I'm pretty sure I'm good though. I'm not peaking. I'm in the comfortable Goldilocks zone when it comes to audio. At least that's what it's showing me on screen. So we will see. Right now, I am streaming out of the office. This is where I normally stream, but I have the camera tilted slightly to the left from your position. I couldn't use, for some reason, I have the mic wired directly into the camera. That's how I usually film. That audio is really good. I think the camera's preamps are awesome. But I couldn't get audio to feed through the camera, through to the capture card, to the live stream. So no matter what I did in OBS, I couldn't get that to work. So I had to use the soundboard. And just hooked up the B1, good old Behringer B1 mic here. This thing is a beast. Actually, we got this from Lights Music. Lights Music is kind of a local music store franchise here in Panama City, and we used to buy guitars from them. We being my dad. My dad bought guitars because I used to play guitar all the time. I still kind of do. And he used to buy them from Lights all the time. So Lights would cut him cool deals because he was a repeat customer and stuff. So I showed up to the beach office. I think, man, it must have been a year ago. It's weird to think it was that long ago. And I was like, hey, I need a couple mics and mic stands and stuff for some live streams and everything. One of the guys actually knew me from YouTube, which I thought was really cool. And he didn't know me from like the fact that I just lived in town. He just knew me from YouTube, even though I lived down the street, literally. I thought that was kind of funny. But he hooked us up too with B1s for $90, I think 90 or $99, something like that. Still a great deal for a mic like this. It's just a beautiful condenser microphone. And we got the shock mounts. We got the Newer, I forget which way it goes. Mic arm, and you can kind of see the mic arm in the camera there. And then we have another one further back. I took that one off because Lisa used to use it, but we're going to have to come up with something different for her because her desk doesn't have basically the desktop doesn't overhang the rails far enough to latch the mic arm onto it because it's kind of like a C-grip, like a vise. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with her. Maybe we'll get her like a really nice headset with a really good microphone and just let her do it that way, or stick to something like wall mounted. I'm not sure. Anyway, folks, I see you guys in the chat, and I know you are just begging to ask those questions. So we're gonna move on over to you all. This is ultimately for you guys, and hopefully I can get through most of your questions. You guys always ask good stuff, and I honestly, if you guys stump me with something like I've never heard of before, or maybe I don't know enough about it to answer the question fully, that's good. I like that. That's the point of this ultimately is for us all to learn. And if I can learn in the process too, then everyone is better off in the end. So anyway, let's see here. Exily Carnifex, I'm gonna get to the super chat real quick. Asks, why haven't you made any Linux videos? And that's because it seems like someone always asks this in every live stream. The reason why is I do not like Linux as just a casual user. I don't like Linux just in general because I think the UI is a little choppy. I have used Linux on Chromebooks before. I kind of hacked the Chromebook and just flashed Linux onto it. I was using Ubuntu, I think is what I used. If I mispronounced that, I'm a noob. I'm sorry. But that was the thing that I flashed onto the Chromebook because I hated Chrome OS at the time. And my experience with Linux is pretty much limited in scope to that, and I wasn't the fondest of the UI. I thought it was a little too complicated. I just, yeah, just didn't really like it, honestly. Look at Will. Will says trash bitrate. What is this? Only 50 megabits per second. You can do at least 9,001. Will, get over here. Okay, first off, you guys know Will, right? But Will, I see Brian's chat too. What's that? Brian, thank you. See, Brian's like, happy birthday, girl. Thank you for that, Brian. You're a little late, but I'm not gonna take it personally. But he says, congrats on 40,000 subs. Thank you for that. Congrats. I think we're a little higher than 40,000, but nonetheless, thanks for stopping by, Brian. You guys know that Brian and I share a Discord. You can check out the link down below. It is free to join, of course. By the way, if the camera's popping in and out of focus because I'm not staring directly into the camera all the time, let me know and I'll lock the autofocus. But it should be for the most part sticking to my face. I don't know. I'll talk to Sony about this if not. So that's why I haven't used Linux, just because I don't like the UI. Frankly, that's really the extent of it. I don't like the coding aspect of it. I don't like having to type in commands to do what I want to do. I just want to be able to click on something and just do it. I grew up with Windows, and that's kind of just something I've taken for granted. So when it's taken from me, it's really difficult for me to adjust. That's it in a nutshell. Also, this video, Will brought up the bitrate thing. So this video is streaming right now, I believe, at 20,000 kilobits per second, so 20 megabits per second, which is a pretty good bit rate. I have it set to variable in the YouTube interface. So right now YouTube is probably just streaming at a variable bit rate of anywhere between 10 and 20,000 depending on how well the computer's doing. I do have an 8700K in this system, the streaming system, and right now CPU usage is at 20%. We're encoding x.264 or x264, and right now it's pretty stable. We have no drop frames, absolutely none, and we're at a stable 60 FPS streaming straight from a capture card from my Sony a7S II. So if you're wondering what config we're using right now to stream, apart from the mic that I mentioned earlier, that's what's going on. Brian says, not much, just testing out some products, cutting some reviews. I heard you cut your thumb too pretty bad. I gotta watch that video. I think I saw a picture of what you did, or at least the end result of it. You sliced it really bad. I need to catch up on your life, Brian. I need to do some digging, some investigative work. My life isn't the same without you, Brian. All right, let's see. Why are people saying 40,000? Oh my gosh, everyone's saying 40,000 subs. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna let y'all roll. It's cool. What's up, Alias? I see those 3 stars by your name. You guys are awesome members. I appreciate your support and for stopping by on this Sunday night, depending on what day. Wow, I just noticed that the autofocus totally lost my face when I scratched my eye. It's still not focused. There it goes. Wow, that was pretty bad. I need to fix that. Let's see. Kofasa asks, Einstein Studio, what was your channel ever called? Salazar Studio. What do you mean, what was my channel? You mean, when was my channel ever called Science? It was called that about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and it was only like that for about 8 months. We switched back to this just because I realized that ultimately a majority of the fan base or the subscriber base of Science Studio revolves around tech, so if I wanted to change this into something else, I would lose a lot of you, which would not be my goal. So, I mean, I kind of ultimately bend to your will. Like, if you guys want to see a certain kind of content, it's my responsibility, I think, as a content creator who has subs that have demands, to sculpt my content around what you guys expect to see. And if I do something weird, like, you guys crucify me sometimes when I post car reviews or things that have nothing to do with computers. You're like, oh, what channel is this again? And I get it, right? Like, I kept the channel name vague, Science Studio, because I want to do more than just computers, but most of you subscribe because of computers. So I'm kind of just here. Toast asks, what happens when you remove a boot drive? When you remove a boot drive, then your system just stays at the post screen and asks where you want to boot from, what drive, and you ultimately aren't going to have a drive to boot from, so you're going to be funneled back into your BIOS, and you're going to get this like BIOS boot loop thing. Like, you're not going to get anywhere past that because obviously you don't have an operating system in which to boot. Let's see, Vili Hat, a $1.99 super chat. I appreciate that. Hi, Greg. Can you say hi, Nick? Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Hello, Nick. I hope you feel like you got your money's worth on that one. Awesome. I appreciate it. Let's see here. I see Tech Tuna Life says, "What's up, Greg? What's going on, my dude? I'm just chilling here, honestly looking for some intense questions. Let's see here. I see Nick Nero. What do you think of RTX 2080 Ti's dying? I'm not sure about 2080 Ti's. I haven't tested 2080 Ti's. I did have a weird thing going on with a couple of my RTX 2080s, and this is something that I haven't actually isolated yet, so I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't know for sure what was causing the weird issues on screen. I do know that when I switched my monitor, the issue was fixed. So, and the monitor that I was running originally was a G-Sync monitor, so I just replaced that totally with this 4K panel behind me, and this one's not G-Sync, and it worked perfectly fine. When I would bump the refresh rate up on that G-Sync panel, it totally lost like everything. I mean, it was flashing, artifacting, everything. So I don't know if that was card related or if it was just some incompatibility with G-Sync or that particular software release. I have no idea, but I am interested to see what the other guys come up with, what they ultimately conclude based on what they're seeing with all of those cards. So we'll see. I don't expect it to be like too widespread an issue, like a RTX gate, like anything super substantial where they have massive recalls and stuff. Although, I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there who would appreciate NVIDIA going through something like that just because they hate NVIDIA at this point. So we'll see. Let's see what's going on here. Mr. Colonel Z28 asks, any truth of the mounting pressure on the 20 series that might be causing the issues? Thoughts? I have no idea. I really don't. I what I just said is basically the extent that I know of firsthand, and I don't even know if mine's related to anything else that anyone else is investigating. So really don't know. It's just going to depend on, again, how many more cards we get coming in. Like I don't have anyone else sending me cards or anything. We've just from the vendors, but not from third parties, individuals out there. So we will see. Let's see. I see a good question from Canon Shane. Let's see. Greg, do you think it's worth buying a bulk size SSD like 500 gig plus at this very moment, or should we wait and see what pricing does? I mean, you're almost at if you live in the U.S., like Black Friday is right around the corner, Cyber Monday. I would wait a little longer if you don't need one right now, just wait. I think that's the most logical thing to do. Let's see. Union 3476. Do you think a GTX 1080 is strong enough to drive three 1440p monitors? If you want a game with three 1440p monitors, like an ultra wide format, no, it's not going to be strong enough. I know that firsthand. Especially in some modern AAA titles, medium to high settings, definitely not going to be strong enough. So I would recommend two 1080 Ti's to drive that kind of resolution, or a couple RTX 2080s or 2080 Ti's. Like, you're going to need some serious horsepower for that. Just because, I remember when I got my first triple monitor setup, I ran things off of a 970, and it was the most abysmal experience ever. When you force a card to work against two or three different monitors that are each around 1080p resolution apiece, I mean, you're literally multiplying things, right? So you have one pixel, then you're multiplying the workload by 2 for 2 screens and by 3 for 3 screens. It's a lot of work for a single graphics card, and a 1080 honestly is going to be difficult to it's going to be difficult to drive those kinds of resolutions. Let's see. King of Hearts says, damn, peep the new Walter White back there. That's right. Video is coming. God, the autofocus is so trash. I'm just going to manually do it. Let's see here. I can't see myself, though, so this is going to be awkward. Because I'm going to have to, my heads-up display, or whatever you want to call it, my display up there is off because I have everything running into the camera, so it's going in and out pretty whacked though. So we'll have to fix this. And the problem is my aperture is it's wide open right now, so any sort of depth forward or backward, right, it's going to put me in blur. I'm kind of concerned at this point. And there's going to be a 20-second delay no matter what I do. Let's see. iKing RPG, do you think RAM prices will keep falling lower than they already have anytime soon? I literally released a video about that, iKing, 5 days ago. Go watch that video. I talk about it specifically. Sharik says, roses are red. That is right. Okay. Scrolling down. Ba, 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 ba. Brian says, November 2018 is shaping up to be a great month. Yeah, Alias, it's because my autofocus is effed up because I'm looking at the screen, I'm not looking into the camera. The camera does a great job locking onto my face constantly when I'm looking at the screen, but because I'm pivoting back and forth between the screen and the camera lens, it's losing track of my face. And because I am live streaming and I don't have a screen to look at, I'm going to have to focus with a 20-second delay, and that's going to be a pain. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm watching it. I'm going to try to face more this way when I talk. Let's see here. Scrolling up. Said Taurus says, I have the GTX 1070 of your original Walter White build. Still running super strong. Thank you again. It's in good hands. Awesome, dude. That's awesome, Taurus. I remember you winning that, and you sent me a video when you got the card. And that was actually one of the first like big giveaways we ever did. Like a GTX 1070 is like the most expensive thing I ever gave away. And it was a little, I'll admit, it was a little bitter at first for me because that was like the most powerful card I had. I bought that card with my own money, and you know, I was hoping that it would go to somebody who really needed it. I saw your old system, and I think it's safe to say you needed a graphics card upgrade, and so hopefully the 1070 is again still treating you well. It sounds like it is, and I'm glad I went to you, dude, because you know you're a genuine guy, and I saw your video, and I thought that was really cool. Because most people, you know, they win something, they'll never talk to you again, but you took the time to, you know, make a thank you video kind of, and that really was awesome. So I'm glad to see that you are doing well, Sid, and hopefully it'll serve you well for years to come. I imagine 1070s are they're going to be the standard, the benchmark for quite a while when it comes to price to performance, especially used. Now you can get used 1070s for 200 to 250 bucks. We have videos about that, by the way. So if you haven't watched those yet, just do a quick eBay search. You'll find much cheaper cards. Wow, I just realized that this is cut off a little bit. Let me fix this. Let's see. Alt, pull it up. There we go. Now I'm going to inch this down. There we go. Whoops. Okay. We'll just leave it like that for now. Let's see. Portland Trail. Greg, do another Black Friday video with McLovin. I could do that. Yeah. I could probably do that again. Okay, I'm going to lock the autofocus. So give me a second. I'm going to hold my hand right here so that it locks onto my hand. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm going to lock it. Ugh. Okay, let's see if that locked. No, it didn't. Ooh. Nope, out of focus. Out of focus. Almost there. That's pretty good. I just realized I could see myself in OBS, so it's kind of stupid to even bring up the monitor thing. Yeah, that's not bad. We'll just leave it like that. And yeah, so the focus thing shouldn't go out of whack anymore. Scrolling down. Kaworu Sesu, how would AMD handle real-time ray tracing, raw power, or specialized tech? Look, so real-time ray tracing is something that we have videos talking about it, and the intense, right, behind-the-scenes workload that these graphics cards have to kind of offset by frame interpolation and just by AI. So the reason why RT is what it is, right, ray tracing, and the reason why we have tensor cores and other things in RTX cards is because RTX cards are still not doing full-time ray tracing. RTX cards are interpolating and predicting the outcome, the next frame, based on that artificial kind of interpretation. They'll take like a sample of rays and then they'll extrapolate, and that's the artificial intelligence behind it. That's why tensor cores are so important in those cards. So the cards themselves aren't doing the entire ray tracing workload. They're actually doing a small fraction of it. So we're not even at the point where we're doing a fully ray traced thing, right? We don't have that yet. And if these cards had to fully ray trace, they would struggle big time. So with that said, I imagine AMD will have to come up with some proprietary way to interpolate. It won't use... I really don't think... Architecturally speaking, I think they'll have something similar to what NVIDIA has. It's not going to be the exact same thing. I would probably put money on that. But they're going to have to come up with some proprietary way to interpolate frames in a similar fashion to what NVIDIA does, because if they want to compete on the developer stage, they have to come up with something similar enough to where developers can utilize that process or manipulate it in a similar way to what NVIDIA is doing, so that you don't have that mismatch, right? So if I want to play a game and turn ray tracing on, and I have an NVIDIA card, it works fine. Then I swap it with my AMD card, and it starts running like trash. That's going to make AMD look terrible, and AMD doesn't want that. So they're going to have to do, again, something that's similar, but it's not going to be exactly the same. And we're going to have to figure out how it's implemented in the long run, but I think right now they're going to have to totally redesign their architecture from the ground up. I think GCN at this point, GCN's just, with the integration of HBM2, made things really costly. I think they're going to have to ditch it altogether and do something totally different. That's my take, at least. We will see. Okay, here we go. Contra says, Greg, do you think I should get a different CPU from my 2700X for 240 Hz? Some games actually do very well with it. Games like Rocket League play at 240, no problem. Would I have issues upgrading my 970? A different CPU from your 2700X is perfectly fine. I would not upgrade that. Like, you're pretty much capped out. You're gonna have a couple. You'll see, maybe 5 to 10%. 10%'s pushing it if you went with like the full-fledged Intel counterpart. But I would say mostly like a 5% delta if you swap that for a 9900K. So I don't think upgrading is even possible or even worth doing. The other thing is when when you're trying to hit 240 hertz, you're just gonna have to really drop settings, which is gonna offset that load big time onto your CPU, or really beef up your graphics card, because the 970 is not gonna cut it unless you're playing a lower end game or a game that's not as intensive, right, from a hardware perspective. So you got to play around with it. You have to feel it out, and every game again will be different. So good luck with that. Okay, let's see. Tech Tuner says he's building his brother a building his brother a budget gaming PC. The live stream's keeping him company. I appreciate that, dude. That's awesome. And I've given it thought in the past. Like, we have a second channel, and the second channel is mainly for like politics, satire. I mean, it's called Satire Studio. But that channel is more or less like my chance to kind of speak my mind, whereas here I feel like I'm a little restricted in terms of what I can say, because I have to be, I don't want to say politically correct, but I have to be sensitive to all cultures and all points of view, at least to an extent. And when I'm not sensitive to those points of view, you guys, I mean, look at my I read AMD subreddit hate video or hate comment video, like that. That was fun. But I think it's about how you say things. And the reason why I think I got so much hate for that video was because the way I was saying things, when I told people, I was like, look, Ryzen 5 is not going to outperform Intel's Core i5 lineup. It's not going to happen. And sure, I mean, I was right. We proved it. I mean, multiple tech tubers actually proved it. And I took all of their results as well and said, look, I'm not the only one saying this. I'm not, twisting my data to make myself look right. Others are confirming this as well. But when I came out and said it before we actually had the results, people just were so firmly against what I had to say. I lost like probably 4,000 subs, I think, in one day after that video. But you know what? I was right. And I think the one thing I would change about it is the way I said it, because my tone was a little aggressive. I was like, look, I probably sounded condescending in the way that I said, Intel's going to be better. Intel's better because of this, this, and this. You guys are, you're overhyping it. You're going to be disappointed when it comes out. It turns out not to be great. Yeah, I think that the presentation could have been definitely toned down. So going forward, I told myself that I would be a little less insensitive when it comes to controversial topics. And this is just strictly related to tech here, right? But on Satire Studio, I totally don't care about any of that. I say what I feel like saying, my opinion based on what I've seen with regards to any topic, basically. And I have a lot of plans for that channel, because I think those kinds of channels right now are doing really well on YouTube. I think YouTube is prioritizing channels that are very like political in nature, but also very entertaining, in the sense that like you subscribe because of the person, because of that person's personality. Maybe they're very charismatic, or they're very funny, or they're just very serious and daunting. Like there's always a reason why you sub to somebody, and you create some sort of like emotional attachment to that person. You're some kind of relationship that you have with the content creator. And I want to give people that experience. I want to kind of open up new doors and see where that goes. So we'll see. But yeah, with regard to tone, I think that definitely things could be, you know, I've learned a lot. Let's just say that I've learned a lot in the 4 or so years that I've been doing this. 3.5 seems like it's almost been 6, but it's been a lot less than that. We started back in 2015. Was it 2015? I think so. So yeah, let's see. Scrolling down here. I see. Said Torres, give me 20 in Mexico. Is it Mexican pesos? Is that what MX is? I have no idea. I appreciate that. Said you didn't have to do that, but I wanted people to know that you're a genuine dude, and I really appreciated the way that you responded to that and the way that you handled the situation when you found out you won. That was awesome. Okay, scrolling up here, I see David Morse, $5 super chat. My dude, do you think that 1366 Xeons would still make a good cheap render box for Premiere, After Effects, looks like CAD, other things? I definitely am not the person to ask that. I know that those Xeons pack a punch. I know that Brian uses quite a few of them, and he would be a better person to ask that question to. But in general, I would say the IPC loss between 3 or 4 generations on Intel's side is maybe 20-25% max. That means, let's say you're going from Ivy Bridge to Coffee Lake, you're going to see maybe I would say 20 to 30% is going to be your range for the most part. Improvement in performance per clock, right? That's instructions per clock. So on a clock-to-clock basis, how many more instructions can that CPU handle from generation to generation? And I think if we skip back between 4 or 5 generations, we're going to see about a 20 to 30% boost. So if you are willing to take that cut, you can build a really cheap system right on that platform. I think that's certainly viable, and that's what Brian does that all the time. Like that's his channel revolves around those ultra budget finds, and he finds old hardware people may have forgotten about. Maybe these CPUs are selling for like $10 and nobody wants them. Like he takes that stuff and he proves that it's still viable, especially from a value perspective. If you're not looking for the best of the best, just the best bang for the buck. And see, Brian right here says, you can do anything with a Xeon, end of story. There you go. Let's see here. Dolphinite asks, I'm trying to sell my old laptop with an i7 6700HQ, 128 gig SSD, 1 terabyte hard drive, GTX 960M. MSRP is $1,200. Any tips for selling? So first thing I do, go online, check what others are selling similar products for. And then if you want a quick sale, undercut all of those offers and sell yours for less than theirs, and you'll be the first to sell your product, assuming your product's in good shape. So if you want to undercut the competition, that's what you do. You take the small loss, but you sell it immediately. There's a time value associated with money, so if that's a big deal to you, then do that. Otherwise, if you want to be competitive, price it in the middle. If you want to be a little more stubborn with it, price it slightly above that bulk of products being sold, again, that have the similar specs to yours. And then you can justify it. When people ask you, hey, why is yours more expensive? Oh, well, these people, they have problems with theirs. You see scratches on screen and stuff. Mine's in pristine condition. You can kind of play around with it. But every market is different. So if you want to sell on eBay, you're going to have to use eBay as your kind of like your standard. If you want to sell it locally, check Craigslist. If you want to just kind of eyeball it, throw a number out there, just ballpark it and see how many bites you get. That could be another way to handle it too. So that's just my, in a nutshell, way of approaching sales, especially when I don't know how much my product is worth. I just look at what others are selling them for. And typically the market's going to be pretty accurate when it comes to that. Okay, here, scrolling up to... SoundFX09 says, Science Studio, honestly, I didn't think that it was your tone in that video. He's referring to that AMD Ryzen 5 versus i5 video. I think with society today, people are just going to be offended by anything that doesn't fit their narrative. Yeah, to an extent, I feel like that's an easy cop-out, but I definitely see that. I'm not going to blame that totally on the situation. I'm not going to blame the situation totally on that, I should say. But, you live and you learn. I'm a young guy. I have plenty to learn, especially when it comes to being social, especially online, right? With a number of people. When we have coming up on 400,000 subs, probably happen today or tomorrow. That's a lot of different people from a lot of different countries, from a lot of different cities, a lot of different cultures, religions, everything. And I kind of have to find a way to approach my content to all of them with like a, you just got to be sensitive. There's really no other way to say it. I don't like being sensitive, but you have to be if you want, if you want to build a fan base. Because if you're not sensitive, at least to an extent, you're going to polarize your audience. You're going to have only, a certain group of fans that are okay with it, that are maybe really, insensitive themselves, and then it's just one big groupthink cycle. I don't want that. I want all points of view. I encourage people to challenge my notions. I encourage people to contradict what I say just to start an argument. Like, you can argue just to argue, that's fine, but actually have a reason for doing it. Have a point to back up, and use data. Use firsthand accounts. Like that's all useful information. And anyone who says otherwise is just being ignorant. And science requires individuals to be open-minded. It does, because science changes. We have laws, we have theories, we have things that we have no idea about. We just take shots in the dark and guess. But it requires people to challenge the status quo to make real change. If I'm going to have a channel called Science Studio but not uphold that virtue, if you will, then I'm just being hypocritical. So one big learning process. Again, I'm only 24. That's not an excuse. It's not an excuse to be immature or make dumb mistakes all the time, and I very much try to limit those. I think the one big mistake, if you want to call it big, that I ever made on the channel was when I thought that the NZXT-Hue Plus had blown up my power supply. I was convinced. I had no idea that I was using the wrong cable with that modular PSU. I had no idea. I just took for granted the fact that it was the correct cable. And of course, I know not to mix cables. I know that the pinouts are all different. That's why some of them are keyed certain ways. This one just happened to fit where it did. But I was also very quick to make an apology video when I found out. Right when I found out, I sat in front of the camera and I just said, "Look, guys, I'm sorry. This is what really happened. This is why I'm wrong, and this is how to test it. This is how to figure out if it's, if you have a suspicion similar to mine. This is how you can test it to confirm whether or not you are right in your thinking." When I thought I'd narrowed down all the variables, turns out I actually didn't. And that's when you just gotta eat crow, and you gotta man up and fess up. So that's the one big thing that I've had to deal with on the channel. I still have people every now and then, they'll hold it against you forever. They'll never let it go, because of course they've never made a mistake in their life. So that's always gonna, I think, follow me to an extent. But I think the ones that appreciated it, at least appreciated the apology, and were willing to stick around, have seen, I guess, my improvement, at least in my approach to testing and verifying, and I'm not so quick to jump the gun anymore. And hopefully, as I age, I will be even slower to jump, to actually come to conclusions. You have to be very careful, because companies are at stake. Money's on the line. Everything is delicate. So yeah, there's my little spiel there. But let's see, Patriot 762. What is your 100% honest opinion on RTX if you are paying out of pocket considering used GTX prices? I've given my honest opinion in multiple videos, Patriot. I would invite you to watch any of my RTX content, and I'll give you my honest opinion in any of those. Like, you don't have to ask me in a live stream to get my honest opinion. I'll just tell you in the video, because I'm not afraid of hurting a company's feelings because I feel a certain way. You know what I mean? Like that's something I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. If you want to call that insensitive, fine, but I'm more sensitive to you guys, because if I lose you, then the channel's done for. I could probably still make decent content if I lost my big vendors, the companies that send me stuff to review and test. That's a big chunk of the channel, but if I lost them, the channel would still be here. You guys would hopefully still be here for the most part, but if I lost all of you, then I lose the vendors too, because why would they send products to a guy that doesn't even have viewers? So it's one big circle, and you guys are at the center of it, and I don't want to lose you. So, I would 100% rather be honest with you than be honest with companies that either send me stuff to test, or send me stuff for free, or send me money for, a product placement or a sponsored spot, whatever. So here we go. Alias asked, do you play racing games? Of course. I played Gran Turismo all growing up, and then when I got an Xbox One, I switched over to Forza for a while, and then now I've switched back over to Gran Turismo Sport on the PS4 Pro. It's like the one game that I play on console still. Although I might get into Red Dead Redemption 2 at some point here soon. I can't come to terms with paying like $80 or $60 for a game. Like that's really expensive. I know it's been the norm for a long time, but that's a lot of money for a game. So it takes me a while to cough up the dough for a game like that. But once I do, I don't see the buyer's remorse. I just actually have to commit. So maybe I'll commit here soon. Anyway, excuse me. Okay, I'm going to scroll up here so I can see what I missed. Okay, Sam S. donated €2, or is that pounds? That's pounds. Thanks, Sam S. He says, my mate Tom says to paste my PSU to cool it. Legit? Paste it? What do you mean paste it? Like thermal compound? What are you talking about? I'm confused by the question, but feel free to ask it again. I'll look for it in the chat so you don't have to super chat me again. Let's see. Bemby says, your demeanor is much more welcoming now than when you first started. That's a compliment. Well, that's good. That's definitely part of the thing I've been trying to change. I think part of it too is like when because I'm really young. Like I'm a lot younger than the big guys. I'm a lot younger than Jay and Paul and Kyle and Linus. Like I said, I'm in my early 20s. I just got out of college, so I think I can come across as like egotistical, self-centered if I try to fit in with the older guys, but at the same time know in the back of my mind that I don't have necessarily all the experience that they do. And that's again part of the learning process. I have experience in school, but that's school. Like you don't actually have field experience from school. So there's two sides to every coin. And I'm trying to fill the other side right now. I'm trying to actually gain the experience to be one of those prominent names in the tech space. I'm not there yet. I don't think I'm there yet. I imagine I won't be there for quite a while. But if I get there at some point, I'll know it, and you guys will let me know. And I'm looking forward to it. That's my goal at this point. Let's see. Scroll down. Scrolling down here. RizGra TV asks, may I ask you a question in 2 messages since it's limited to 200 letters? You should have asked your question now because I was reading your question, so I might not see it anymore. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. Just ask your question. Don't ask me if you can ask a question. What I would do is like type it up in a notepad or something and then just copy half of it, paste it, then copy the other half, paste it really quick, and send both back to back so that I can read it all at one time. That's what I would have done. So try it again. Let's see if I see it. Night Circus, do you have a full-time job related to your degree? Absolutely not. I do this full-time, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do this full-time. But if I was working full-time, it would be in the field. I'd be on an oil rig somewhere, managing a bunch of derrickmen or doing it myself. It's just or maybe refining. I don't know. I have a petroleum engineering bachelor's and I have a master's in business administration. So I can really work anywhere with the MBA, but my engineering side of things definitely has me offshore or onshore on a rig somewhere, pretty isolated. So it just depends. Brian says, just teleport to the future. Screw it. I think I'm going to do that. I'll see you later, Brian. I gotta go. I gotta use my teleportation device. I'll let you know in Discord how it goes. Let's see. Okay. Jeff B says, Greg, congrats. Thank you, Jeff B. I appreciate that. Just FYI, my name is Greg with 1 G. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but like I feel like when I see the 2 G's, I'm like Greg Guga with 2 G's. That's not. I'm just 1 G. I'm simple. You know, I'm not confusing people with the way I spell my name. So there you go. Okay, scrolling down here. Scrolling down. You guys are dope. Okay. Card Mule 41271. What is this Card Mule? I want to switch my GPU and CPU over to a custom water loop. Is there any company's products you would recommend over another? Any tips you have for a first-time loop builder? Okay, my big 3 are going to be EK. Obviously, EK makes really good stuff. EK, Alpha Cool, and then I like Bits Power. Bits Power is really good. I've used Bits Power products. I've also used Primo Chill stuff before. I'll tell you who makes really cool stuff though, like really like specific stuff. Fantex makes really cool blocks, and especially for the CPUs, and they make really cool reservoirs. So if you're into like DDC pumps, they have a reservoir. They actually have two different reservoirs. One's a 220 mil reservoir, and then one's a 110 mil reservoir, I want to say, or 120, I forget. And then you can actually mount a DDC pump directly to it, so it doesn't take up much space. And that's a really cool combo for like a small form factor build. I've actually used the R220, I think they call it, from Fantex. I've used that reservoir in a recent build. So if you want to check that out on the channel, you certainly can. But yeah, that was, I mean, those are the big three though. I would say EK, Alpha Cool, and then probably Bits Power would be my third. It really depends. And there are a lot of like third-party vendors too that make really good stuff. But in general, like if you're looking for like big name stuff with great warranties, those are the ones I would go for. Okay. Let's see. Demetrius, that's Science Studio. I have a leftover i5 7500, okay, RX 480, okay, 8 gigs of RAM, and a 550 watt power supply. Would it be best to just build a PC and sell it, or just sell the stuff individually? It really depends. I think people will pay more for a fully built PC because they expect kind of a small markup, right, for building it, maintaining it and stuff, installing an operating system. You could part it out, but people are going to be, in my experience, people are more stingy when you part stuff out. So if you want to be, and then you have to deal with actually selling individual components, meeting people individually. So there's a lot to consider when selling individually. I would just build it, make it look as clean as possible, and sell it as is, as one whole unit. I think you'll have a better time doing that, and you'll probably make more money in the process. Okay, scrolling down here. I see a super chat from Rihan14Maz. $2 Canadian super chat. My dude, I appreciate that. Can you make a custom PC on iBuyPower? Custom PC, what do you mean? Like, I think you can pick the parts and stuff on iBuyPower. If you can't pick the parts, you can still pick individual builds. If you want to call that custom, sure, but that's a pre-built. Like, iBuyPower builds pre-built stuff as far as I know. So I wouldn't necessarily call that custom unless like you're doing something to it to change it up. So that's just my take on it. Okay, let's see. Furno 3572 $4.99 super chat. My dude, I appreciate that. I got a GTX 1080 overstock from Micro Center for $369. That's an awesome deal. Actually, that's not far off from what they're selling for used. So that's a really good deal, especially if you got that like open boxed or basically new. That's a really good deal. Micro Centers are freaking awesome. We've got a few videos when we go into Micro Centers. I really love them, and they have great deals, especially great bundles. If you're willing to bundle a CPU and a motherboard, like that's an awesome opportunity if you're willing to do that, to commit to buying like a full platform. Then that's where you're going to see most of your discount, is at a place like Micro Center. So just my take on it. Let's see, scrolling down. It's Desanya. Says, at Science Studio, I've watched the stuff you do for well over 2 years. About to build a second PC. Thanks for all the content, and my 9700K and Z390 Taichi are overclocked in your honor. That's awesome. I appreciate that. And I do hope that going forward you have no issues with your system. I know my buddy Tony, you guys know Tony over at Realty PC Customs. Tony was telling me today he put together an AMD system. This was the first time he'd used AMD, as far as I'm aware, in quite a while. He just, he's like, screw it, I'm going to try Ryzen. I've heard great things about Ryzen, especially from you, Greg. Great value, and it looks to be awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and build I think it was a 2700X, so he just went all out. And he got it all set up. And then he texted me actually like today, I think, and he said, I'm getting like these random blue screens of death. He goes, I tried to troubleshoot it. I figured out what was causing it, and then I went to the forums to see how to fix it, and there wasn't like any clear solution to fix the problem. And I was like, dude, like that sucks. First off, like this is your first Ryzen experience and you're getting consistent blue screens, like persistent blue screens. And I tried to help him a little bit. I was like, try flashing a new BIOS, make sure you're up to date, don't overclock, keep your BIOS stock, try XMP, all kinds of stuff. Like it wasn't working for him, and I still don't know what the heck was causing it. He was kind of worried because he had like 2 days left to return his stuff, because Micro Center has like that 14-day return policy. So he told me, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. I don't think he'll mind. But he told me he went back and then he just swapped the platform out. He got, I think, an 8700K for like $300 even. Like they had an open box one behind the counter or an overstock one. I can't remember. So that's that's another good deal, right? Because i7 8700Ks are selling for $350 to $400 now, especially with the supply shortage kind of taking hold. So he found a really good deal. It sucks that he's not going to get to experience, full-fledged Ryzen, but at least he was able to, have a system that worked and didn't persistently blue screen. So, yeah, Micro Center is the bomb, really. I mean, there's so much you can do at Micro Center, and if you guys haven't gone to one and you live near one, I encourage you, just pop in. Just make sure you hold your wallet tight because you're going to want to throw cash at stuff. It's really difficult not to. I mean, when you see all those good deals that they got on all kinds of CPUs and motherboards, you got rows of graphics cards. Now you do. You didn't a year ago, but now you do. It really is a treat for anybody who enjoys PC building, the art of PC building, and just testing tech. Okay, let's see. Scroll down here. Dixie11, how old are you? I said that earlier. I am 24 years old. Scrolling down here. Cole D Gaming says Micro Center's the bomb. That's it is. Card Mule 41271. Again, $5 super chat, my dude. Thank you, Greg. I was thinking of going with EK, but I just got my hands on a Fantex Evolve X, so I'll check out the Fantex stuff too. For sure, dude. I'm telling you, that reservoir is awesome looking. It's one of the coolest looking reservoirs out there, in my opinion. And then if you're okay with DDCs are still great pumps. You can mount one of those to the back of it. It's literally built with a DDC mount, and then there you go. Like there's your pump res combo straight up, and they have little kits where you can mount the pump res combo to like a radiator or a fan or whatever. It really is cool. I think you'll enjoy, especially the reservoirs, maybe even the CPU blocks from Fantex. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Alias asks, are there Micro Centers in Florida? I thought there weren't any there. There aren't. I've had to drive to Micro Centers to get there. I've been to Micro Centers in Atlanta. I've been to Micro Centers in Houston. I've been to Micro Center in St. Louis. I've been to a Micro Center in California. I can't remember which one. There's one in Los Angeles, I believe I went to. It's like 4 years ago. It was right before right before I started YouTube. I'm pretty sure it was in Los Angeles. It was a while back. Well, not Los Angeles, but it was like outside of Los Angeles. I'll have to see. But yeah, I've been in like 3 or 4, and they're all slightly different. The Houston one was probably my favorite. The Atlanta ones, one of them's a little smaller, and then one of them is like really new and up to date, and there's a lot of space there. So I think the one I can't remember which part of Atlanta it was. Oh gosh. I'm sure somebody watching knows, someone who lives close. There are 2 different Micro Centers in Atlanta, and one of them is on the north side, I want to say, and one of them is on like the southwest side. I can't remember. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyone who lives in Georgia, you guys know. Okay, let's see here. Sam S says, hey, it's me from earlier. It was my mate Stefan who told my friend Tom about putting thermal paste on your power supply to boost wattage. Can I really get 700 watts from a 200 watt power supply this way? Thank you. You sound like a troll, Sam, but that was a good troll. I give you kudos for that. The answer is no. By the way, if you're being serious, the answer is no. There you go. I see Quaydogs2373 says Duluth or Marietta. That's right. Duluth, I think Duluth is the older one. I can't remember which one it is. We went to both in the videos. We did like a part 1 and part 2. We went to both. I can't remember which one was the older one, the one that we got kicked out of, or we got asked to stop filming in it. And then the other one was like the more up to date one. It was a little bigger, I think. But yeah, both are good. Like if you live in Atlanta, you have 2 to choose from. That's like an awesome opportunity. So yeah, but I always have to drive because there is not a Micro Center in Atlanta. Keith Davidson, $4.99 super chat, my dude. You see yourself working in oil and gas? Been with Baker Hughes, since 2017. And my dad works for GE, and GE I think like acquired Baker Hughes or did some kind of merger or whatever with GE Oil and Gas. So yeah, I expect myself at some point to be working in the field. I hope honestly, I hope I don't have to because I really like this job. But I have that degree if I need to work in the field, and it pays really good. So I wouldn't be disappointed if I had to, but at the same time, like I much prefer this just because this is, I don't know, I enjoy this a little more. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to the live screen here. There we go. Okay. Blackbird612 at Science Studio. Hey Greg, how would you go about moving your OS from a hard drive to an SSD if you bought it after you built your PC? There are tools out there to do the migration. It's difficult as heck. Um, you could use, like, if you have Samsung drives, you could use Samsung migration tools. Like, they have their own proprietary software to transfer operating systems and other important data. But in a nutshell, especially if you don't have something like that and you're going, let's say, from like a WD Blue to like a Toshiba drive SSD, then it's going to be a pain in the butt to get your operating system over. I wouldn't trust, honestly, any software to transfer my operating system. What I would do is completely start from scratch. And I know you hate to hear that, but I just completely reinstall Windows. It starts off with a clean slate. Your system runs a lot faster. You install the programs you need on the new system, and you can wipe your drive and use it for whatever, libraries and stuff. So I hate for that to be my answer, but in my experience dealing with third-party software to transfer operating systems, for the most part, there's like a fly in here. For the most part, it's just been a terrible time for me. So maybe others have suggestions in the chat, so look out for those. Let's see. Okay, Bemby says Intel has a data migration tool for free. It works well. Okay, yeah, you could try that one out. I haven't tried that one, so maybe that one's good. Let's see here. Yeah, Cliff says I wouldn't transfer hard drive to SSD. Buy a drive cloner. You could do that. That's true. Partition Wizard. Let's see. Question here. Taking responsibility and consideration for the risk, should I delid my 8700K? I don't think there's too much of a risk. If you know what you're doing, like, a delid's not going to brick your CPU. Just make sure you're using a good tool. Gebauer's delid kits are really great. I have reviews of deliding both the 8700K and actually I delided the i5 too. And I delided a 7980XE, like $2,000 CPU with his massive X299 LGA 2066 delid tool. And it worked like a charm too. So I trust his products 100%. I had no issues to date. I've had no issues to date. And so if you want to delid, I would recommend a kit like that, a kit that's reputable, and you shouldn't have a problem. Again, as long as you know what you're doing. Okay, let's see here. Cliff says Windows does something different between hard disk drive and SSD. Paul's Hardware answered that video in his Ask Paul video. Interesting. That's convenient though. So there you go. So you can watch Paul's. I know Paul does like the Probing Paul series, so you can ask Paul or check out that video. I guess he answered it in that recent. He just uploaded it today. I'm pretty sure. I saw the Twitter post for it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, see, Michael says clean install period. Don't try. I mean, that's usually what I just say. I just like just install from scratch. It ain't worth the freaking hassle. It's really not. Okay. Arrow777. What's a good way to teach someone about properly putting together a PC? A kid at my school has a lot of misinformation. He claims that he doesn't need my help for building a laptop. Building a laptop, that'll be fun. I'd love to watch that. But for the most part, I mean, you can refer them to videos we have on our channel, refer them to other TechTuber videos. Any one of us that's been doing it for at least a year, we've built like maybe 4 or 5 PCs. We pretty much all come to a consensus about how it should be done. And so I'd recommend showing him any of our videos for starters. And then you could also use like websites with like step-by-step like how-tos and stuff. I wouldn't use like third-party like random how-to guides unless they're, again, from companies that you trust. That's just my opinion. Because, again, those people have experience. We've been doing it a while, so I think we know what works and what doesn't. Unlike certain companies, starting with the letter V. Okay, I'll go ahead and say it. The Verge. Okay, don't watch that video. Actually, you can't. They took it down. So yeah, that sucks. But you can watch most of it in my video, replying to the Verge video. So there you go. Okay. Scrolling. Yep, here we go. AJ Ninja Tech. How's having the vertically mounted GPU holding up? Any concerns about temps when running games? AJ, I talk about this in my vertical mount video. Go watch the cable mod vertical mount video, and all that will be answered. Like I don't just test things for 10 minutes and say it's stable. Like I run these games for hours on end, especially when it comes to testing. Long-term effects of temperatures, long-term effects of having GPUs heavily under load, CPUs heavily under load, and not an issue at all. I mean, this bracket is so far from the glass that it's like basically having the card horizontally mounted, so there's really no difference there. Maybe a couple degrees Celsius. And again, it all depends on the case as well, and where your fans are positioned. All that stuff it plays into it. Said Torres, again, my dude, 20 Mex pesos. Appreciate that. Since your wife is a CSGO player, who beats who? Said we actually have a video where I 1v1 my wife in CSGO. You should watch that video. I think you'll have a laugh. Let's see here. Let me answer a couple more questions. It's 10:03 p.m. over here, so yeah, we'll do a couple more. So give me some good questions to close this one out. I need two juicy ones. Give me like a couple that are gonna make me do some heavy digging. Like I wanna have to go and research this. Like intense music in the background while I'm like scrubbing through Wikipedia. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna use Wikipedia. Anyway, Wikipedia should not be used as the primary source. Wikipedia is a culmination of multiple primary sources for the most part. So if you use Wikipedia at all, it should be to confirm what you already have read in your primary sources. Okay, that's what I'll say about Wikipedia. And no college professor, for the most part, there's always that exception, is going to accept Wikipedia as a source, especially not a primary source. So there you go. Okay. Grant Greenfelder says, low-key thought your degree would have been something like an orthodontist. Oh man, I had an expectation at one point. I thought I was going to go into the medical field. I thought I was going to. I actually decided this after I got my engineering degree, believe it or not. But I had finished it up, or I was about to finish it up, and I was like, you know what? I need something else. I need something else big that I can feel like I have to struggle a little bit to tackle. I like those challenges, and because YouTube's a steady grind, right? Like you don't really have too many things that take up too much of your time or require really intense amounts of workload to get finished unless you have like serious embargo problems and stuff. For the most part, it's a gradual grind. But when you're in engineering school for a bit, I was in a serious grind. I was going straight uphill. I mean, it was tough to get through some of that stuff. And then in med school, obviously, like med school is like one big cliff to go up. So I like those feelings of accomplishment. If I can get through that stuff, I feel better about myself. I just have more self-confidence. And I would be interested in. I mean, I think it pays really well. It's a big part of it. I think I would be good at it to an extent. I'm good at memorizing stuff. Very technically oriented, but I don't know. I just think it would be a cool experience. You could be anything you want if you really put your mind to it, political and cultural barriers aside. So I just thought it would be a cool challenge. And I was literally about to commit, and I ran into some issues with I just had issues with a certain part of a department that I was inquiring in. I was actually asking some questions in the department to figure out what I needed to do and what my next steps needed to be, because I had a couple prereqs that I had to take and in order to qualify for pre-med. And I didn't get the response that I was expecting. Actually, I was like pretty much kicked out of the whole department, threatened by people. They said they were going to call the cops because I was asking questions. I mean, literally, I've pissed people off, and it's been my problem and my fault in the past, but I did nothing wrong here. And it was just a bad time, I guess. Like, they were preoccupied with final exams and stuff, and they didn't want some random kid coming and asking questions. Little did they know that I actually would have done their program some good. I think I would have been a great student there. I was top 15 in my engineering class. I think I would have contributed, I would have contributed at least somewhat to the program, but nope, they kicked me out. So interesting. But yeah, that's my little take on that. I just thought that I always thought that I would do something big. I always wanted to do something really big and make an impact. And so far, it's been YouTube. And maybe this channel will get to the point where we're actually like seriously impactful on something. We're like the forefront of some certain technology or a certain topic, and that's my current dream, is to get the channel to a point where we are officially recognized as like the channel at the forefront of a certain topic or whatever. So we will see. I did see a question from somebody. Let's see, scrolling up. Yeah, Lowell's Cookie asks, what are the signs of a hard drive dying? Things will lag, seriously lag, when you're trying to pull data from a hard drive. You might even hear things if the disks are starting to rub and stuff, or the maybe the motor's dying, or the laser's not working properly. Then you could have just, either number of things can go on hard drives because they're mechanical. But it really just depends on the circumstance. If you're hearing anything, if you're not hearing anything, but data is still transferring very slow, that could also be the sign of a dead hard drive, or a hard drive that will die. Let's see. Let's see. The Demon Mitt. So I've asked and got an answer from G and Steve, but I'm curious about your opinion. What are your thoughts about tech reviewers or tech journalists being hired by tech companies to work? Oh, okay. Have you thought about it? Okay, I see what you're saying. So yeah, I've talked about this before in my response to the Intel thing with oh gosh, I forget the name of the company now that Intel hired to do it. You guys know what I'm talking about. So Intel hired the company to basically run a bunch of tests regarding the new Intel refresh, the 9900K and stuff. And I forget the name of someone will know in the chat again. Someone will come to the rescue. And anyway, the take that I had on that was it's not a big deal for a company like Intel, especially a company as big as Intel, to say, hey, we want to contract this work out to a third-party company that does testing and stuff, so they can report back their results, right? And we can get a feel for how our product performs in the real world by an independent reviewer. The problem is, first off, it's not really an independent review if you, Principal Technologies, that's who it was. Yeah, I saw PT, that reminded me. There it is. Thank you guys. Okay, so when Intel hired Principal Technologies, and they paid him, I don't know how much they paid him, but they paid him a good chunk of change, I imagine. That's not really an independent review in the sense that, like, the company is dependent on the payment, right, to fulfill the review obligation or the benchmark obligation. So as Principal Technologies disclosed this, like they said that they were being contracted or basically paid out by Intel to run these tests. I don't doubt the fact that Principal Technology was neutral in the sense of how they reported their data. I think they made mistakes, especially early on, very blatant mistakes. I don't think they necessarily knew what they were doing with this stuff, at least when it came to BIOS settings and whatnot. But I will say this. I don't think there's anything wrong with it so long as it's properly disclosed, and so long as the company that paid to have this stuff reported on and to have these benchmarks actually kind of gathered and grouped up, as long as that company doesn't say, hey, these are our unbiased results from a third-party company that took it upon themselves to do this, right? I don't think Intel should do that because, first off, when you pay a company to do it, you're kind of exchanging integrities a little bit. Like it's kind of a mixed bag for me, but ultimately I don't think there's anything wrong with Principal Technologies doing it. If Intel paid me to say, hey, run these benchmarks, and get back to me, personally it would be tricky because it's not a review, right? I mean, is it a review? If you're being paid to review a product, you're going to benchmark it. So maybe it is a review. And if they came at me and said, hey, we'll throw $1,000 at you to run benchmarks and report on your video, then it would be very difficult for me to kind of draw the line and say, all right, this is not a review. I'm just running benchmarks objectively and showing them to all of you. That just sounds really sketchy to me. I don't know. Look, Principal Technologies doesn't do this. They're not tech tubers who review, CPUs for a living. I mean, they do a bunch of different. Principal Technologies does a ton of different stuff. I don't see anything wrong with it. I just don't think that there's a place for what Intel did in the sense that they kind of like stood behind those results and acted like they were the Holy Grail. Right? I think the problem was with how Intel responded to the heat that they got for it. Because look, if the benchmarks had been done correctly yet we knew in the backs of our mind that they were still paid for, we would still expect to people to wait for third party results. Third party in the sense that like we're not being paid, we just got samples, we're running our independent tests. So I think there's still a place for us in the market. I don't think Intel cut us out, but at the same time, I mean, I don't think Principal Technologies did anything wrong. So yeah, and I talk more about this coherently in the video, but yeah, that's. I think the blame was more on Intel with how they handled the backlash that they got from the results. Principal Technology went back and fixed stuff. They went back and fixed what they messed up, and they went back and fixed more stuff they messed up. And then Intel was kind of just like, hey, these are the results. Look at them. So, I don't know. I'm sure there are a lot of different opinions on the subject. Personally, I would have a very difficult time. I don't know. I could see it though. I mean, I've done something similar. I did something similar with Intel Optane. So to be totally intellectually consistent here, if Intel pays for me to promote, let's say Optane, then which they've been doing a lot of, like a lot of tech tubers have promoted Optane. If when they pay me to do that, and this is totally off the cuff, I haven't planned on talking about this, so I'm trying to be careful with how I word this because it is live. But if they pay me to do that, and then I go and I run my tests, right, and then I present them to you, then you kind of just I don't know. You still have to let the viewer know that, like, look, there are other independent reviews out there that you should consult first before determining if Intel Optane is, like, if you want this totally unbiased thing that's not paid. People always get super edgy when they find out the content is paid for, and they should. I mean, rightfully so. So that goes without saying. I expect everyone who does proper due diligence won't just watch one video and conclude whether or not a product is worth buying. I expect you guys to watch multiple videos, not just the ones that are paid for, but multiple videos out there from several different people with several different opinions and preconceived notions, and that will give you the ultimate synopsis of whether or not you should buy the product. There's my take. I'll end with that there. Okay, scrolling up here. I missed a couple of questions. I was kind of rambling there. Stephen Anderson, gaming mode should be called Threadripper mode. Yeah, I think it's a little misleading. I mean, to be fair, yeah, AMD did kind of word that weird, and the fact that it's in BIOSes that have nothing to do with Threadripper, I can see that. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see, scrolling up. Someone said, Wayne Geisinger, did I say that right? Can we get a fresh take on the new iPad Pro? Are there any other competitive products out there for artists, note takers? I'm having trouble coming to terms with like the viability of tablets in general. Lisa has the older iPad Pro, still with the high refresh rate screen. It's beautiful to watch. I'm going to be releasing a video very soon regarding a test between the Pixel 3 camera and the iPhone XR camera. So Lisa uses the 10 arc, and I use the Pixel 3, and both of these cameras, right, use kind of like AI interpretations of like backgrounds and stuff to isolate foregrounds in portrait mode. They'd handle lighting differently and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing a head-to-head comparison between both cameras. I think they're the perfect matchup because both phones have a single lens, a single camera, a single sensor on the rear versus some phones that have two to kind of not cheat the system, but you know what I mean. So there's less software involved when you have two camera lenses. So stay tuned for that one. I think that'll be a really good video. I think you guys will enjoy that. Scrolling up here, I missed a Bazinga. $50 super chat. Bazinga, what are you doing, Bazinga? Good to see you again, my dude. And I appreciate it. You're always here, and gosh, you're always super chatting. I don't know what to say. It's a lot of money, so thank you. What's the update on Lisa? When will she be coming home? Can you review the Corsair MP510? Specs look good, but would love a full review. So Bazinga, I talked about this in the last live stream, the birthday stream, but Lisa is here. She got approved for a B2 visa, so she is here, and she got approved for it on the terms that she would come and see her husband. So they know exactly what she's doing. Like, we're still waiting for her marriage visa to get approved. And it's going to take roughly 5 to 6 more months for that. So the good thing is, like, the B2 visa allows her to stay here for 6 months. She's got a plane ticket headed back home on like April 10th, I believe. So she gets to be here for 5 or 6 months. And hopefully by then, like worst case, she's still got to go back. She has to do her interviews and stuff. But hopefully we won't have to wait much longer for her to actually be here permanently, to become a permanent resident. So that is exciting. Thanks for asking about that. She's actually in the other room right now. I don't know, doing something, probably playing with her friends online or whatever. And she's going to get into streaming here very soon again, too. So if you guys are watching her on Twitch, I hope you guys will join her again in the future, because she'll be doing that quite a bit coming up. And then as for the Corsair MP510, I'm going to have to look that up. Let's see. MP510. What am I? Corsair MP510. That doesn't come up. Let me see. Hold on. Let me type in Corsair then. Okay. There we go. Okay. M.2. So PCI Express, 4-lane. Okay. Wow, this looks pretty fast. High-end contender. Okay, let's see what the trend. Wow. 3480 megabytes per second, 2700 megabytes per second. That's a really fast drive. Jesus. Yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll see if I can. I'm going to make a note, and I'm going to send Justin from Corsair an email asking if we can review one of those. I'll just get a smaller size from them and see if we can do a dedicated review on it, and then talk about the viability of M.2s in general. So MP510, awesome. I'll make a note of it right in here. Actually, I'll just leave this page open so I don't forget. Thanks again, Bazinga, and yeah, stay tuned for that, because I'll send him an email very soon. I got to send out emails anyway for CES coming up, so I'll send those all out at once, and we will see what's good. Anyway, folks, you guys have been awesome. I'm looking through, trying to see if I miss a few more questions in here. Luke W says, congrats, Greg. I appreciate that, Luke. Thanks for dropping by. Let's see, scrolling up. My name is Jeff at Science Studio. What is your opinion on the Ryzen 2400G as a budget build CPU after being overclocked to 4 gigahertz? I think it's viable. I think you're still making compromises by going with an APU. So look, if you get a 2400G, you really have, in my opinion, no need to go for a GT 1030 or anything like that. It just doesn't make sense if you go for like a GTX 1060, right? If you buy a GTX 1060 and then a 2400G, like you might as well just buy the 1400 or the 1500X or the 2600, for like $30 more. That's my opinion on the matter. The 2600 is a killer CP for the bargain, for the price. So, and I have a video on that, very recent video. Check it out if you haven't already. But if you're just going for an APU build, no discrete graphics, then the 2400G is good. It's better than it's better than the Intel alternative. Let me say that. So there we go. Let's see here. Scrolling up. Brentwood says, you renamed your channel to Science Studio. Was there plans on doing other material not related to PC hardware? So Brent, the original channel name was Science Studio. It was like that for 2 years or so. I changed it to Salazar Studio. Salazar is my last name. I changed it to that because I expected to do stuff outside of the realm of tech with this channel. But then I realized over time that 95% of you subscribed for computer tech stuff. And I totally get that. That's that's why you subbed in the first place. And I wanted to stay true to that, so that's why I ultimately switched back. I changed my mind, and I just reaffirmed the Science Studio name because that's why a lot of you subscribed in the first place. So yeah, I did have plans with that channel, or with this channel, to take it, abroad, but I've since kind of just refocused it back on the stuff that you guys subscribe for. We have a separate channel for the crazy stuff, for the random stuff, the talking stuff, the vlog stuff, and that's where I think it's going to stay for now. Okay, I see one more super chat from Menback for the win. Menback, I know you can't ask a question, I think, when you donate $1, but if you want to ask a question, I'm looking in the chat right now for it, so that I can answer your question, because I appreciate the super chat. And then we're gonna close it out here. No problem. My name is Jeff. I see you. No problem, my dude. Let's see. Cameron Sip, thoughts on the build? Ryzen 7 2700X, 1070 Ti, 16 gigs, Ripjaws 3200. Perfect, Cameron. That's a well-balanced system right there, my friend. Let's see here. Satora says, I don't know who asked about the APU, but my cousin is gaming on that bad boy, and it runs pretty well, actually. He plays even Destiny and some other stuff in medium settings in 1080p. Not bad for an APU, again. That's not bad at all. So, yeah. And then that's the thing. You're going to make compromises, obviously. Anything above 1080p is going to be really difficult for that APU. But if you're willing to play with some settings in that resolution, it's easy. Menback for the win says no question, just because. Well, Menback, I appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat. I saw you just subbed as well. So awesome. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy the content. If you haven't checked some of it out, I encourage you to do so. And I think this is where we're going to call it. Owen Gish says, what's the second channel name? It's called Satire Studio. That's the name of it right there. And it's weird. Error, try again. That's weird. Satire Studio. Why is it like blocking? Am I blocked? Did I block myself? Anyway, Satire, Satire Studio. Like Science Studio, but Satire Studio. You'll see the logo. It's exactly the same as this logo. It's supposed to be purple. It's purple on Twitter, but I haven't changed it yet. So if you want to watch our first video we have on the channel there, it's a more personal topic relating to the stuff that we've experienced here in Panama City after Hurricane Michael. Then I invite you to watch that. It's gonna be I don't expect it to be very political in nature, but it will be political. We don't talk about politics here on Science Studio at all, but we'll talk about it there on Satire Studio. You'll figure out where I fall into the spectrum, my opinions on certain things. Totally open-minded over there, and we talk about everything. That's my plan anyway. So if you want to subscribe to that, I would appreciate it. That's going to be our second spin-off channel, and hopefully it will become a fun podcast channel where we can talk about anything and everything and not be offended, because being offended by everything in 2018 is pretty much like the epitome of 2018. So yeah, I can't wait for 2019. I see Said Torres give another 10 Mexican pesos. Said, I appreciate that, my dude. I really appreciate it. You guys don't have to do that. I see another one from Luke W. $10. My dude, I appreciate it. Broke student here, but I'll chip in on taking your lady out to eat. Oh, that's awesome. I actually told her today, just like right before I started live streaming, I said, hey, how about we go to the beach tomorrow? She's got a couple things to do with some friends online in the early afternoon. And then I said, hey, let's go to the beach. Let's watch the sunset or whatever. Hopefully it's not raining. It would totally be like, it would be my luck if it was raining tomorrow. I said, let's go to the beach, watch the sunset, and then we can go to Pier Park. That's a shopping outlet kind of on the beach here. And we'll go to the Marble Slab. I'll take you to get some ice cream. And she's been wanting to go. We walk by it all the time there, but we never actually go in. It's a pretty expensive place, but my dude, I'll tell her, Marble Slabs on Luke W. I appreciate that, dude. And hopefully stick around. You guys are awesome. Let's see, Demon Mitt, he says check the Discord, because the Discord has here, I'll just check it. Do I have Discord installed? Oh, I don't have it. Okay, Demon Mitt, I will answer that Discord question right now, so that I don't miss it. I appreciate the $5 super chat. Again, you guys, I appreciate it. But we're going to close it out here. So I will check Discord again. If you guys have any more questions, anything you feel like wasn't answered, you want more specifics, more clarification on stuff, I invite you again to join the public Discord below. It is 100% free. You don't have to pay anything at all to join, although the patron members and the channel members get special perks in the Discord channel if you want to do that, if you want to join. But apart from that, you can still ask questions as a regular Discord member. So join the Discord, link down below, shared with Brian from Techia City. You guys know Brian. You love Brian. Brian's an awesome dude, and we get a lot of work done over there, although it's been pretty... I haven't been on as much as I should have been recently, because of all the stuff I've been doing regarding the hurricane, because the town is still pretty messed up. My parents' house is still pretty messed up, so I've been really busy with that and work here, and Lisa just got here, so but I'll be on again much more here soon, so don't worry, you guys. Just be a little more patient with me, and or patient with me for a little longer, and it will all be good. I appreciate the views. I appreciate the watches. You guys, with 227 or so watching on a Sunday night / Monday morning or afternoon, you guys are awesome. And I know this is kind of a weird time of day, and a weird day in general of the week. I appreciate you guys. We're going to call this one. This is Science Studio After Hours number 29. Thank you guys for watching. And again, leave your extra questions in the Discord. I will do my best to go through all of them if possible. And especially thanks to those who super chatted, asked questions I don't know the answers to. I will get back to you guys very soon. I'll quit rambling here now. This is Science Studio. Thanks for live streaming with us.